if you just say, I'm at the Women's Center, everybody knows what that means and they all want to help. I was, at that point in time, completely captive in my home. I wasn't allowed to even open the front door for the UPS man. I couldn't walk in the yard. I had long since had my keys taken away from me, couldn't go to the grocery store. When I left my home, it had been over a year since I had been to the grocery store. And I was only allowed to go to the pediatrician visits with our son. And when I went there, I could only look at the ground. My husband chose the clothing I was going to wear, and then he quizzed me when we got back home about whether I had been looking at any other men. So he searched my phone constantly, searched my computer. He was completely obsessed with the thought that I was going to meet someone else and run away, so he kept me in the house. And I did not know that the Women's Center was even in Carbondale. It was within walking distance of my house the whole time. My husband had already hurt me in ways that left bruises, but I was too afraid at that time to do anything. So I never took pictures. I just wanted to pretend it hadn't happened. I wasn't ready.
Our clients, they have no one else. And if we weren't here, they will stay in that environment, not because they want to, but because no one's providing options for them to get help. And because of that, there's a chance it'll result in death or more violence, or somehow it won't end well.
On the day that I called the police, my husband threw a glass of whiskey all over me. And my daughters heard me scream because it was a shock, the ice and the whiskey. And they came running downstairs, and I was crying, and they just walked me upstairs, and they were like, it's okay, we'll get you a shower, we'll get you new clothes. And I just looked at them and I thought, these are teenage girls. And they think that when a guy treats you like this, you just take a shower and you act like nothing happened. And I have an infant son too, so he's learning, he's watching this too. And I looked at all my girls standing around me trying to comfort me, and I thought, these children need to see somebody call 911. So I called 911 and I said, I need to know if this constitutes an assault. And she said, do you need an officer? And I said, I don't know, because I already had started to panic. And she said, an officer can just come and tell you what your options are. So I said, yes. And then I went out front because I got really afraid that my husband was going to hurt me, and went out front to tell them to go away, except they had already come. And so there were two officers. One went to interview my husband and one came to talk with me. And he came inside. I showed him the places where my husband had, broken down the door frame, punched holes in doors. And he said, it's not going to get better, it's only going to get worse.
And it's not just the adults that it impacts. The majority of our clients have children, and that's the future. And if you want to change the future, you have to help children and get them out of the environments and educate them. Otherwise, this cycle will definitely continue on and become worse, because someday when they grow up, that's what they will know, and so that's what will continue to happen. So if there isn't funding, nothing will change.
It's taken us many years to get services for victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. It's been a long road for that to be recognized as a crime, particularly domestic violence. And I feel like the fact that the senators and the representatives and Madigan and Rauner, with their war that they have going on, are taking us backwards to a place where it's dark and people are being murdered and hurt, and people turn a blind eye and look the other way.
When I called the Women's Center, the crisis hotline, people put me straight through to a victim advocate. She spent over an hour on the phone with me. She explained to me what an order of protection would allow me to have, and we arranged an escape plan. And the first day, this was on a Monday, the first day that I could leave was on that Friday because of my husband's work schedule. Well, on that Wednesday, I had a friend come over, and I found out that she volunteered at the Women's Center, and so I told her that I was escaping on Friday. She said, I can help you pack now, that way on Friday the packing's already done. And as we talked further and she found out how severe my situation was, she offered, she said, if you want to go now, I can take you. And she took my whole family. And she brought us to the Women's Center. And it had never, it sounds so strange, it had never occurred to me that I could just walk out the door while he was at work.
When you deal with clients on a daily basis and you see when they come in, you see the bruises, you see the harm and the fear, and we have to help them get on their feet in 45 days, which is huge, and it takes a lot of work. And if there's no funding, then no one will help them with that. It just feels like nobody cares about them, and often that is the feeling our clients come in with anyway, is that either they're not worth the help or that no one cares enough to help them because of what they've just come out of. And with the state not wanting to fund or pay their bills and do that, it's just another layer to the no one cares, it's not important to anyone what happens to me.
I've never seen the center in crisis like this before, and I hope to never see it again once it gets resolved. But we're really in a position where we could potentially end up having to close our doors.
It sounds so incredible. Like I used to backpack 30, 40 miles, and then I turned into somebody who couldn't step outside without being completely terrified. Because my husband had convinced me that the world was dangerous and he was the only person I should listen to, that I couldn't handle it on my own and I had to do everything that he said or it was going to totally mess up my life. And so if you have somebody that's convinced you that they're the only solid thing in the world and then that thing is gone, you flounder. And having the counseling at the Women's Center is what helped me learn to listen to myself again and take his voice out of my head. It's not just about the women that are in this situation, it's the cycle, and it's the next generation that's going to learn that this is okay. That's where the damage has even bigger ripples than what we can imagine. And if places like the Women's Center shut down, I can't even imagine. Like my little boy, this is what he saw, you know, and he was trapped at home too. The lawmakers have got to get their act together and get this place funded. There's just no question about it.